Welcome everyone to today's lesson where you will be doing an assessment on your image editing skills. For this lesson you will use two files which you can find in our virtual learning environment, and your teacher will show you where. So the first is the image that you need to download and open up in GIMP or whichever program you're using to do this assessment. The second is a Word document which you will have to record all of your work in. So just a little bit on this document. At the top of the page here we have a success criteria, so basically what is required of you to achieve these levels of grades. And below that you have a range of tools that you can use to guide you, to inspire you on how to edit your image, and we'll see in a bit how we use this table. The rest of the form I will show you how to fill out just a little bit later on, but I will say, if I were you, I would spend a couple of minutes just reading through these just to get a quick understanding about what is being expected from you. So back to the image. So what you need to do here is you need to create an activity that is a spot the difference activity by editing the image either on the right, or if your image has the original on top and another one on the bottom, then it will be on the one on the bottom. But for this one I will be editing the image on the right here. So what I'm going to do is have a look around and just sort of take a quick glance at some things that I could potentially edit, so change so that they become different from the original image. I'm going to start off with a very easy one. I'm going to take this sushi roll on the top right hand corner here out of the picture. So for that I'm going to be using the clone tool, but before I remove it completely I will be creating a new layer on top because I don't want to destroy this original image here. So if I go to my rectangle select, I'm going to select this area right here and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to add it as a pasted layer here. I can obviously rename it if I want to. Then I'm going to click my clone brush tool, zoom in, and I'm going to set a source by holding Control on my keyboard and then just removing this from the image completely. Now obviously it doesn't look very nice right now because you can see some sharp corners of my clone tool. So for that I could maybe use the heal brush tool and just blend those corners like this. So now if we zoom out, it should look quite normal. Now don't worry if you see these yellow dotted lines. That's absolutely fine. It's just showing you where the edge of the layer is. If I select the main layer, you can clearly see that it's showing me where the edge of that layer is, like this. Now you might be wondering why I created a whole new layer just to remove that sushi roll. It's because if I made a mistake and if I needed to go back to whatever the image was before, I know I have that image underneath here as well. So that's the reason why we use these extra layers on top, so we don't destroy the original image. Right, so that's one. So what I need to do now is I need to record my work in my Word document. So what I could do is if I open up my Word document here, I can go to this table. So the original image, I can click on Insert, Screenshot, Screen Clipping, and just wait for the screen to go a little bit gray, and then I can highlight this section right here. So it's going to put it directly into the table. I don't need the image to be extremely large. Then I click on Edited Image. I do the same thing, Insert, Screenshot, Screen Clipping, and wait for the screen to go gray, and I can just highlight this area right here and then paste it on my table. So this shows the difference right here, so the original image and the edited image. What I'm going to do on the last column here is, first of all, I'm going to mention which tools I used to edit this. So we use the clone and heal brush tool like this, and then I would explain and say, excuse me, I first use the clone tool to remove the sushi roll, then I use the heel brush tool to blend the area so it doesn't look like it has sharp corners because of the clone brush tool. So you're going to continue filling out this table with all of the differences that you can come up with, and explaining which tools you've used from this table and how you use them. The layers table over here is obviously quite self-explanatory really. So what you want to do for that is maybe, forgive me, you want to go to Insert, Screenshot, Screen Clipping again, and you want to sort of highlight this like this, and then you want to say, for example, I created a new layer with the top right hand corner of the image to remove the sushi roll from the table. I believe it's not a table, but I'm just going to write that like that. Right, so you're explaining why you created these layers on top and so on and so forth. So if we go back to our image, we're going to concentrate solely on this now. So now you know how to fill out your Word documentation. I'm going to make a few other changes. So for example, I've used the clone brush tool, I've used the heel brush tool. I want to show that I can do something else. I want to maybe change the color of this avocado inside this roll here. So I go back to my main layer, I highlight this part like this, and I copy it by going to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste, and then add in that as a new layer. Now I want to select all of the green inside this roll here. Notice, by the way, that I'm zooming into my picture constantly. So this is another tool that you can mention in your table. So what I want to do is, again, select all of the green avocado inside here. So I'm going to use my fuzzy select tool, or it might be known as the magic wand tool in some other software. And I'm going to click on the green pixels here. Now it's done a good job of selecting all of the green area for me, but it might not have done that for you if your threshold was too low. So if your threshold in your options for the tool is too low, but when you select a certain color, it doesn't go beyond what it recognizes as a similar pixel to what you selected. So for example, this part of the avocado here starts to get darker as it gets to this edge here. So because these are much different shades of green than what we have in the middle here, it doesn't select them. So by increasing the threshold, you are sort of expanding the amount of green that you can select, like so. And maybe I can just sort of increase that a little bit more. And if I select, well, now it's selecting too much of my picture. So I need to bring the threshold down. There we go. I'm really happy with that. So I've selected the area that I want. Then I can go to colors, hue and saturation, and maybe change it to something like this. Maybe make it a little bit brighter, just increase that blue a little bit more, and press OK and deselect. If you're wondering how I deselect it, you can press Ctrl-Shift-A, or you can press Select and None, and you will be done with that. Right, so there's our second difference. We've created the layers as well. Maybe I want to use the rotate tool. So what I could do is, if I scroll into this part of the image, I want to maybe rotate this sushi roll, but keep in mind, if I rotate it, the shadow can't rotate with it, right? Because the light is coming in one direction. So I want to keep the shadow where it is. I only want to change the sushi roll here, or rotate it, sorry. So we're going to click on the main layer here. We're going to select this sushi roll like so, and we're going to copy it and paste it like this. And then what we're going to do is hide the main layer. We're going to use the erase tool, and we're just going to remove all of this other part of it that we don't really need, like so. Doesn't have to be perfect for this, it's just a demonstration. You can spend a bit more time getting it perfect. Quite happy with that for now, and we can continue. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use the rotate tool, going to select it here, and I'm going to rotate it like this, and then press enter, and I'm going to use the move tool to move it into position where I want it, like this. Now, if you're not happy with the sushi roll in the back showing right now, then what we could do is maybe go back to the main layer again, and we could use the smudge tool here to just, well, that's not going to work actually, so maybe we could use the clone tool for this one as well. Maybe just sort of take this area and change it like that. If you want to go a step further, maybe you can use the clone brush tool or the heal tool to remove this shadow around the top of the sushi roll. I'm not going to do that for this demonstration, but you kind of get it. So what we've done is we've used the rotate tool, we've used the eraser tool, we used the move tool, the zoom tool, the clone brush tool, all in one activity right here. Right, so if you wish to use other tools like the text tool, I know we haven't done this in lesson, but if you wish to use it, then what we could do is we could select the tool here, we can click on our screen, and we can write a nice little word like this, yummy, and we can sort of highlight it, we can decrease its font size, here we go. We can make it bold if we want to, we can make it italic, you can choose these options, underline it, and even change the color. So maybe I'm going to choose a nice little yellow from over here. And then what we can do is, I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use the rotate tool again. I'm going to rotate it like this, press enter, and use the move tool and put it here on the top of the chopstick. Right, maybe that doesn't look very convincing because it's blending in. So maybe we can go to colors, hue and saturation, and change its color to something a bit more obvious. We don't want to make it too hard for those of us who take this activity. Right, so there are some examples that you could potentially use for this activity. You won't have this exact image to work on, you will have other images, but the concept is still the same. You're using the tools to make differences in one part of the image and thereby creating a spot the difference activity. Now, if you wish to not use or not edit or not create other layers, you could work on just your main layer. So for example, if I wanted to remove these black dots from this sushi roll here, I could just really and truly work on the main layer by using the clone tool like this and removing these spots like so. You won't get the highest mark because the highest mark does require you to use non-destruct layers like this. But it is absolutely fine if you want to work on the main layer, that's fine. Good luck, bye bye.